Hey everyone, Avengers94 here with another action figure review, and this time we're taking a look at Avengers Age of Ultron. This is of course Ultron Prime himself from the Revoltech, or Movie Revo, I guess you can say, is what it says up in top. But it is Revoltech. It's been a while since I've purchased a Revoltech figure, because nothing bad against them, but I prefer Figuarts over Revoltech. They have some good figures, and then they have some okay figures. I bought this one because I recently reviewed the SH Figuarts Age of Ultron, Ultron Prime figure, and I was really disappointed with it. We were extremely disappointed with it, as well as many other people, and based off of pictures online, the Revoltech one looked better, so I had to buy it and see for myself to see if it was actually better than the Figuarts version. So here we're going to go ahead and review the Revoltech Ultron figure and compare him with the SH Figuarts version. So here's another picture of him on the side of the box. Here's the back of the box right here. See some various poses. I can already tell the articulation is better based off of the poses, if that's really what you can put him into. And then here is the other side. Let's get him out the package and see how he looks. Alright guys, here we have Ultron Prime, the Revoltech version of the figure, and here he is out of the package, and I have to say, wow, I mean, seriously, he looks great. He really does look great. The sculpt, detail, paint, articulations, I haven't even showed that part yet, but I already seen it off camera when I took him out of the package, and I have to say that he already is better than the SH Figuarts version. I can't believe I'm saying that. Not to say that SH Figuarts is always better, because, they're not the top always, but to me, SH Figuarts is, my favorite line of figures, and I love it. And I think they produce some of the best figures out there. But when it comes to this Ultron Prime figure, I think Bandai really dropped the ball and really disappointed me with that Ultron Prime. And I'm just going to go ahead and put him in right now, just to straight up show the comparison and see them, next to each other. And just right off the bat, just look how the Revoltech version just looks. How he looks. He almost looks bulkier. He almost looks more menacing, more of a villain. He looks like Ultron Prime. To me, this could be like one of Ultron's minions, or one of the regular Ultrons or whatever. I don't know, but I think the sculpt came out excellent on both. I really like the sculpt on both. I did say I did like the sculpt on this one, which I do. They both have really nice sculpt, paint, and detail. I mean, they really went above and beyond with all that, and there's not really any quality control issues at all on either of them. So, but anyways, there's a little quick comparison. We'll go in more in-depth one later on, but let's focus on the Revoltech version of Ultron right now, and I just absolutely love how he looks. Everything looks great. Here's the back of the figure right here. He does come with a bunch of those plastic little wrappers, like all inside the joints, but this figure you can pretty much take apart. It's Revoltech. As you may know, the Revoltech joints are, you can slide them on in and out and all that, and they kind of click sometimes. But real quick, just to show off, he does come with an extra pair of hands. So you got the fists that are on the figure, and then we have these open hands right here. Can also be used for like blasting as well. So we have right there on both sides. So it's either these hands or the fist. Then we have a Revoltech stand here. So this comes with a stand. Of course, you just peg that in there, and then we have a little thing to hold the figure. And then we have this little thing. This tool is to move his eyes. His eyes are movable, so if you take the head off, you can move the eyes through the back and have him looking up to the side. I've seen this before on imports, so it's not really anything new there, but they did implement this on this Ultron figure. Alright, so here we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Ultron figure. You can see his face sculpt looking very nice. That looks awesome. I just love how they made him look. Looks great. I think the eyes came out very nice. Got the little paint details inside his upper torso. Very cool. So let's go ahead and go on to the articulation of the figure. And this is where he puts the final nail in the coffin for the SH Figuarts version, because he actually exceeds in the articulation department, unlike the one from SH Figuarts or from Bandai Tamashii. So here we have the head. So left and right there, up, right there, down, so the head moves, and then the neck has a good joint too, so that goes all the way down and it goes kind of in, so that's very cool. Going on to the arms, so this is where the SH Figuarts one was really bad, where the arms couldn't move in and out at all. This one completely moves out. They both do, so that's awesome. So they made it happen, and we have this Revoltech joint here. So like I said, these joints allow the body parts to come out, so you can kind of see the joint there. It's a double joint right there. So you just slide that back inside the peg hole, just like that in there, and it's all good. You can also kind of move it forward in and out like this, but I'm so glad that you're able to move the arms outward. You can have him in a blasting pose. So there is some slight hindering because of the sculpt right here, but it is nothing compared to the SH Figuarts version where you can not move it at all. So that's good. The arms bend like a double joint right there, and it does swivel as well. We have the wrist swiveling on a hinge. Then we go to the upper torso where we kind of have a clicky ab crunch right there, and we can have a good dynamic movement going on there. This is like a loose piece for the abdominal area as well, so you can, it doesn't hinder anything. You can move him around, twist him around, and he articulates pretty nicely, so I like that a lot. When you go down to the legs, it's a little bit more limited, but it's not too bad. So he goes forward about that much. I wish he could go more. The SH Figuarts one does go a lot more further, forward, because it drops down. It does click a lot too, so in and out like this, so not too bad. He got some good range of motion. Upper thigh swivel, double jointed knees that click like crazy. Of course, Revoltech joints, and then the ankles go forward and back. Ankle pivot, ankle rocker, and it does swivel side to side slightly. And then he does have toe articulation as well. Here, and I want to get him in a little bit of a pose here, and he's got the little finger blast effect. So the effect has little, holes where you can put in the fingers, and they fit in perfectly, and it's pretty cool. It's like, he's blasting out of his hand, and that looks really nice. But I like how I could, pose him like this, how I could not pose him with the SH Figuarts version. He could stand, and he can do it. He's got the articulation to pose like this, to have a decent blasting pose, unlike the SH Figuarts one that you couldn't really even move his arm up. It was just horrible. So at least this one, it's not all the way, perfect, because he still have some hindering due to this piece right here, that shoulder piece, but still it is a whole lot better than the SH Figuarts version that you cannot move at all. So I'm really happy about that. Alright, and that concludes my review for the Revoltech Ultron Prime action figure by, of course, Kaiyodo. And I have to say, and I gotta be honest, that the Revoltech version of Ultron is way superior than the SH Figuarts version of Ultron. And it's not just on the face sculpt, which the face sculpt on the Revoltech one just blows the Ultron from SH Figuarts out the water. Just something more menacing, more detailed about the Revoltech version than the SH Figuarts one. Revoltech also has some more paint apps right here on the chest. This one kind of didn't have it. It does have the red down here like this one, and on the arms, but it kind of missed that middle, chest area. And everything is just articulated way better on the Revoltech version of the figure, especially the arms. Now, I would have to say the legs are better on the SH Figuarts one, because it does allow it to drop down. It goes in and out, and there's more range of motion on the legs there, but for the arms, there's a lot more on the Revoltech version than there is on the SH Figuarts. So I have to recommend the Revoltech version over the SH Figuarts because, one, it's cheaper, two, it's better. The sculpt on the face is better, the articulation is better, and the overall look of him is just better than the SH Figuarts one. And the cost of the SH Figuarts one is way more than the Revoltech one as of right now. This one you can get around for 50-ish, 50 bucks, 60 bucks. This is a web exclusive, and he is harder to get. And he's about 80 bucks to 90 bucks, maybe even more, because he's a web exclusive. But as you can see, the better ends up being the Revoltech version, at least for me, in my opinion. It looks a lot better, and I think he's going to look good within your SH Figuarts collection of Avengers. So I hope this video helped you guys somewhat, or at least a little bit, on deciding which Ultron to get. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe if you guys like, and you guys have a great day. Bye.
That's crispy.